The ship landed on Station Vila 9 with a soft hum, looked out the window, and saw something she had never imagined before. The station was massive. It floated in space like a small moon made of metal and light. Ships from hundreds of different worlds came and went like busy insects around a hive. She pressed her hand against the cold glass and took a deep breath. She was far from home now, very far. A voice came through the speakers. "Welcome to the Galactic Combat Trials. All competitors please report to the registration hall." Picked up her small bag. Inside it were simple things: a change of clothes, a photograph of her grandmother, a small bottle of water from the stream near her village. She did not need much. She had learned long ago that strength did not come from things you carried, it came from things you remembered. The door opened and she stepped out into the station. The air was clean, but it smelled strange. Not like Earth, not like the mountains where she grew up. She missed the smell of pine trees and wet soil after rain, but she pushed those thoughts away. There was work to do. The registration hall was crowded with beings from across the galaxy. Had studied the different species before coming here, but seeing them in person was different. They were tall and blue-skinned with 4 eyes that moved independently. They had scales like lizards and 4 arms that looked strong enough to crush stone. There were others too. Creatures with wings. Creatures with no faces. Creatures made of what looked like living crystal. And then there was her, a human woman, small, quiet, alone. She walked to the registration desk where a bored-looking official checked her documents. The official had gray skin and too many fingers. He looked at her identification and then looked at her. Then he looked at the identification again. "Human," he said. His voice was flat. "Yes," answered. "First human to compete in the trials," he said. "You know most people think this is a joke, right?" Did not answer, she just waited. The official shrugged and handed her a badge. "Arena 7, your handler will meet you there. Good luck, you will need it." She took the badge and walked away. She could feel eyes on her back. She could hear whispers in languages she did not understand. But she kept walking. Her grandmother had taught her that. When people talk about you, let them talk. Words cannot hurt you unless you let them inside. Arena 7 was smaller than she expected. It was a practice area where competitors could train before the main events. The floor was made of some kind of hard material that felt like stone but looked like metal. The walls were high and curved. Seats surrounded the arena in circles that went up and up until they disappeared into shadow. I was waiting for her near the entrance. He was younger than most she had seen. His blue skin was lighter, and his 4 eyes were curious rather than hostile. "You are?" he asked. His voice was deep but kind. "Yes. I am. I have been assigned as your handler for the trials. I will help you with schedules and rules and anything else you need." He paused. "I must be honest with you. I did not ask for this assignment. Most handlers did not want to work with a human. They said it would be a waste of time." Nodded. "And you?" "Thought about it. I think everyone deserves a chance to prove themselves, even if others doubt them." He smiled with his wide mouth. "Besides, I am curious. I have never met a human before. Your species is very new to the galaxy." "We have been around for a long time," said. "We just stayed on our planet." "Why?" "We were busy fighting each other." Laughed. It was a strange sound, like stones rolling down a hill. "I like you, human. You are honest." They walked into the arena together. Other competitors were already training. A was lifting weights that looked heavier than a small vehicle. A was practicing combat moves so fast that could barely see them. 2 creatures she did not recognize were sparring with weapons that glowed with energy. Set her bag down near the wall and began to stretch. She moved slowly and carefully. She had done these same movements every day since she was 6 years old. Her grandmother had taught her. Her grandmother had learned from her own grandmother. The knowledge went back hundreds of years. She spread her feet wide and sank her weight low. Her knees bent. Her back stayed straight. Her hands hung open at her sides. She breathed in through her nose and out through her mouth. She felt the ground beneath her feet. She imagined roots growing from her body down into the floor, down through the station, down into space itself. This was the stance, the foundation of everything. A shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw a standing nearby. He was large even for his kind. His scales were dark green and his 4 arms were crossed over his chest. His eyes were yellow and filled with amusement. "What is that?" he asked. His voice was mocking. Did not answer, she just maintained her stance. "I am talking to you, little creature," the said. "What is that ridiculous posture? You stand like you are stuck in mud." Other competitors stopped their training to watch, could feel their attention like heat on her skin. "She stands like she is rooted to dirt," another voice called out. Laughter followed. "Maybe on her planet they fight by standing still," someone else said. More laughter. They leaned closer. "Listen to me, human. The trials are not a game. People die here. Real warriors die here. And you come with your silly pose and your tiny body and think you can compete." He shook his head. "Go home. Go back to your little world before you get hurt." Finally spoke. Her voice was calm and quiet. "Thank you for your advice." The blinked. He had expected fear or anger, not politeness. "I will remember it," continued, "but I think I will stay." She returned to her stance. They stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a sound of disgust and walked away. The other competitors went back to their training. The moment passed. But had watched everything. He had seen something the others had missed. When it sunk into her stance, the floor beneath her feet had made a sound. A tiny sound, like something under pressure. He looked at the spot where she stood. He could not be sure, but he thought he saw something. A thin line in the floor, almost like a crack. He shook his head. That was impossible. The arena floor was made of reinforced material designed to withstand the strength of any species. It could not crack from someone just standing on it. Could it? Looked at the small human woman with new eyes. She stood perfectly still. Her breathing was slow and deep. She looked peaceful, almost asleep. But something about her made him feel strange, something he could not explain. For the first time since he had received this assignment, wondered if maybe the day of the first match came quickly. Woke early in her small room on the station. The room was simple: a bed, a chair, a window that showed the endless stars outside. She sat on the floor and closed her eyes. She thought about home. She thought about the mountains. She thought about her grandmother sitting in the garden with dirt on her hands and a smile on her face. Remember, her grandmother had told her before she left Earth, "You are not fighting for yourself. You are not fighting for glory. You are fighting to show them who we are, what we can be." Had nodded. "I understand." "Do you?" Her grandmother had taken her hands. Her grip was still strong despite her age. "They think we are weak because we are small. They think we are foolish because we are young among the stars, but we have something they do not have. We have roots. We have been pushed down by our own world for thousands of years, and every time we got back up." Opened her eyes. The memory faded, but the feeling stayed. She got dressed in her training clothes. Simple white fabric, nothing special, nothing fancy. She tied her hair back and looked at herself in the small mirror. She looked ordinary. That was good. Let them think she was ordinary. The arena was full when she arrived. Thousands of beings filled the seats. The noise was incredible. Voices and sounds from hundreds of different species mixed together into a roar that seemed to shake the air itself. Lights flashed. Music played. Giant screens showed images of the competitors. When an image appeared on the screen, there was laughter. She heard words in different languages. She did not need to understand them to know what they meant. Jokes, insults, pity. "Ignore them," said. He walked beside her toward the arena floor. "Focus on your opponent." "Who is my opponent?" "His name is Keel. He is a warrior, young but skilled. He has won 12 matches in smaller tournaments." Paused. "He is the same one who mocked you in training." remembered the dark green scales, the yellow eyes, the cruel laughter. "Good," she said. Looked at her with surprise. "Good. He is angry at me. Angry people make mistakes." They reached the edge of the arena floor. Keel was already there on the other side. He stood with his 4 arms raised, playing to the crowd. They cheered for him. He was one of them, a real warrior from a real warrior species, not some weak human from a forgotten planet. Stepped onto the floor. The material was cold under her bare feet. She walked to the center and waited. Keel approached her. Up close he was even larger than she remembered. His head was almost a meter above hers. His body was thick with muscle. His scales looked hard enough to stop a blade. "So you did not run away," he said. "I am almost impressed." Said nothing. "I will make this quick," Keel continued. "I do not want to waste time on something so small." The announcer's voice filled the arena. "Competitors ready. The match will begin in 3, 2, 1. A bell rang. Keel moved immediately. He was fast, much faster than something his size should be. His upper right arm swung towards head with enough force to crack stone. She was not there. Had shifted her weight at the last moment. Her body turned like water flowing around a rock. Keel's fist passed through empty air. His momentum carried him forward. Stepped in. Her hip pressed against his body. Her hands gripped his arm. She pulled and twisted and used his own speed against him. Keel flew through the air. He hit the ground hard enough to shake the floor. The crowd went silent. For a moment nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They had all expected to see the human crushed in seconds. Instead they saw the warrior lying on his back with confusion in his eyes. Keel got up slowly. His yellow eyes were no longer amused. They were angry, very angry. "Lucky," he growled. "That was lucky." He attacked again. This time he used all 4 arms. His strikes came from every direction, fast, powerful, deadly. Did not try to block them. Blocking would break her bones. Instead she moved. She bent. She twisted. She let his attacks pass by her like wind passing through leaves. And each time she moved she found small openings. A push here, a pull there. She guided his energy away from her body and into the ground. The crowd began to murmur. What were they watching? This was not fighting, this was something else, something strange. Keel was breathing hard now. He had thrown dozens of attacks and hit nothing. The small human just kept moving. She never attacked back. She just flowed. "Stand still," he roared. "Fight me like a real warrior." Stopped moving. She sank into her stance, feet wide, knees bent, weight low, hands open. "Come," she said. Keel charged with everything he had. All 4 arms pulled back for a single devastating blow. He put his entire body into the attack. This would end it. This would crush her. Caught his wrist. Her fingers closed around his arm and she twisted her whole body. Her stance sank even deeper. She pulled him forward and down while pushing with her hip. The force transferred through her body into his. Keel did not just fall. He flew. His body spun through the air like something thrown by a giant. He crashed into the ground on the far side of the arena with a sound like thunder. He did not get up. The arena was completely silent. 10,000 beings sat frozen. The announcers had stopped talking. Even the music had stopped. Straightened from her stance. She was not breathing hard. She was not sweating. She looked exactly the same as when the match had started. She bowed once toward her fallen opponent. Then she turned and walked off the floor. The silence continued for several more seconds. Then the announcer finally spoke. The Earthborn wins by technique." In the stands, a young man named sat very still. He was a human diplomat assigned to Station Vila 9. His job was to observe the trials and report back to Earth. He had not expected much. Like everyone else, he had assumed would lose quickly. But he had seen something. When the match ended, he had used his optical device to zoom in on the arena floor. He looked at the spot where had made her final stance. His hands began to shake. There were cracks in the floor, thin lines spreading out from where her feet had been. The arena floor was made of the strongest material in the galaxy. It was designed to survive impacts from the most powerful species known. And a small human woman had cracked it just by standing on it. Looked down at the arena where was walking away. She looked so ordinary, so small, so human. But now he understood. They had all made a terrible mistake. News spread through Station Vila 9 like fire through dry grass. Within hours, everyone was talking about the human, the impossible human, the human who had thrown a warrior across the arena without even trying. Did you hear what happened? I saw the video. I still do not believe it. They say she broke his arm, just from the throw. That cannot be right. Humans are weak. Everyone knows humans are weak. But the video did not lie. It was everywhere now, on screens, on personal devices. In every corner of the station, beings were watching the same footage over and over again. They watched Keel attack. They watched move like smoke. They watched her catch his arm and send him flying. And they watched her stance, that strange low stance that looked so simple, so easy, so wrong. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. The council was made up of representatives from the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy. They met in a great hall at the center of the station. Their seats were arranged in a circle so that everyone could see everyone else. "This is a problem," said the representative. His name was, and he was old even for his long-lived species. "The trials are meant to show the strength of our civilizations. If a human wins, it will change everything." "She will not win," said the representative. Her name was, and her scales were bright red. "She beat one young warrior. That proves nothing. When she faces a real opponent, she will fall. And if she does not fall?" Had no answer for that. A door opened and a young woman walked into the hall. She was human. Her name was, and she was a who had been studying alien species for 10 years. The council had called her to explain what had happened in the arena. "Thank you for coming," said. "We have questions about your species, about this warrior named." Nodded. She had expected this call. "I will answer what I can." "How did she do it?" demanded. "Warriors are among the strongest beings in the galaxy. Our scales can stop blades. Our muscles can crush metal. How did a small human throw one of us like a toy?" Took a deep breath. "May I show you something?" She pressed a button on her device and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a planet, blue and green and white, beautiful and ordinary. "This is Earth," said. "Our home. It looks peaceful, but it is not. Our planet has been trying to kill us since we first appeared." The council members looked confused. "I do not understand," said. "Your planet has moderate gravity, comfortable temperature, breathable air. It seems ideal for life." "It seems that way," agreed. "But our gravity never stops. Every second of every day it pulls on our bodies. Our hearts must pump blood upward against that pull. Our legs must carry our full weight with every step. Our spines must support our bodies against constant pressure." She changed the hologram to show a human skeleton surrounded by muscles. "We evolved under that constant strain. Our muscles are not just strong, they are dense, packed with fibers that other species do not have. Our tendons are like cables of steel. Our bones are constantly rebuilding themselves to handle stress." She looked at, "Your species evolved on a low-gravity world. You are large and powerful, but your strength comes from size. Our strength comes from density, from pressure, from millions of years of fighting against our own planet just to stand up." "But she is so small," another council member said. "How can such a small creature generate such force?" Smiled. "That is the interesting part. May I show you more video?" She changed the hologram again. Now it showed in the arena. The image was slowed down to show every tiny movement. "Watch her feet," said. The council watched. They saw sink into her stance. They saw her feet press into the floor. They saw her legs bend and her weight drop. She is connecting herself to the ground, explained. Her stance creates a direct line from her opponent through her body and into the floor. When she throws someone, she is not using just her arm strength. She is using the strength of the ground itself. That is impossible, said. The floor is just a surface. You cannot draw power from a surface. Watch. The hologram showed the moment of the throw, caught Keel's arm, her body twisted, and as she threw him, the floor beneath her feet cracked. The council stared. She pushed so hard against the floor that she broke it, said. The force did not come from her muscles alone. It came from her whole body working together. It came from a technique that her people have practiced for hundreds of years. What technique? Asked quietly. It is a martial art from her region of Earth, a place called Korea. The art teaches the body to become like a mountain, to root yourself so deeply that nothing can move you, to absorb force and return it. Turned off the hologram. You have all made an error, she said. You looked at humans and saw small creatures with short lives. You saw a young species with primitive technology. You thought we were weak because we are not large, because we do not have scales or claws or extra limbs. She looked around the circle at each council member. But we are not weak despite being human. We are strong because we are human. Our planet trained us. Our gravity forged us. Our history of fighting each other taught us techniques that no other species has ever needed to learn. She paused. Is not special among humans. She is simply well trained. Any human with the same training could do what she did. We have billions of people on our planet. Millions of them train in martial arts every day. The council was silent. They were beginning to understand something terrible. You invited us to your trials as a joke, said. You wanted to laugh at the weak little humans. You wanted to show the galaxy how primitive we are. She smiled, and it was not a warm smile. But we are not the ones who should be afraid. She bowed once and walked out of the hall. The council sat in silence for a long time after she left. They had much to think about. Everything they believed about humans was wrong. Everything they thought they knew was a lie. And somewhere on the station, a small human woman was preparing for her next match. She had no idea that she had already changed the galaxy forever. But she would learn soon enough. The weeks passed and kept winning, match after match, opponent after opponent. Warriors who had trained their whole lives fell before her strange art. The laughter stopped. The jokes ended. Now when beings spoke of the human, they spoke in whispers, in fear. She defeated a crystal warrior by finding the weak points in his structure. She defeated a winged hunter by staying close to the ground where wings gave no advantage. She defeated a four-armed swordsman by moving inside his reach where his weapons became useless. Each time she won the same way. She did not overpower her opponents. She did not hurt them more than necessary. She simply used their own strength against them. She became water that flowed around stone. She became wind that bent but never broke. And each time she won, the floor cracked beneath her feet. Now she stood in the final arena, the main arena, the place where champions were made and legends were born. 100,000 beings filled the seats. Billions more watched on screens across the galaxy. This was the semi-final match. The winner would face the current champion. But everyone knew the truth. This match was the real final because her opponent was a legend. He was not like other. He had been engineered before birth. His bones were reinforced with metal alloys. His muscles were enhanced with genetic modifications. His reflexes were improved with neural implants. He was not just a warrior. He was a weapon, a perfect machine built for one purpose. He had won the Galactic Combat Trials 6 times in a row. He had never lost a single match. Some said he could not be beaten. Some said he was not even truly alive anymore, just a thing that looked like a person. walked onto the arena floor and looked at him. He was beautiful in a terrible way. His blue skin was darker than most. His 4 eyes were cold like distant stars. He stood perfectly still with his hands at his sides. He did not play to the crowd like other fighters. He did not need to. Everyone already knew who he was. "You are the human," he said. His voice was flat and empty. "Yes. I have watched your matches. You are skilled for your kind. Your technique is impressive." "Waited. But you cannot defeat me," raised one hand and made a fist. The sound of his knuckles cracking was like stones breaking. "I am not like the others. I was built to be perfect. My bones cannot break. My muscles cannot tire. My mind cannot fear." "I understand," said. "Do you? Then why are you here? Why not surrender and save yourself the pain?" Thought of her grandmother. She thought of her village in the mountains. She thought of all the humans on Earth who were watching this moment, waiting, hopping. "My grandmother taught me something," she said. "She said that the mountain does not move for the wind. The wind blows and blows, but the mountain stays. And in the end, the wind passes and the mountain remains." His eyes showed nothing. Pretty words, but words do not win fights. "No," agreed, "they do not." The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Moved. He was faster than anything had faced before. His fist flew toward her face like a missile. She shifted, but not fast enough. His knuckles grazed her cheek and the pain exploded through her skull. She stumbled back. Blood ran down her face. The crowd roared. Did not stop. He pressed forward with a combination of strikes that would have killed any normal being. Blocked what she could and dodged what she could not, but he was too fast, too strong. His hits landed again and again. Her arms, her ribs, her legs. She fell. The arena went quiet. The human was down, just like everyone expected, just like it was supposed to be. But then she got up. Blood dripped from her mouth. Her left arm hung at a strange angle. Her breathing was rough and painful, but she got up. She sank into her stance, feet wide, knees bent, weight low. Watched her with something that might have been curiosity. "You should stay down," he said. "You cannot win." Said nothing, she just breathed. Attacked again. This time he was even faster, even stronger. He hit her with blows that cracked the air itself. Any other creature would have been destroyed. Fell again. And again she got up. The crowd began to murmur. What were they watching? This was not a fight anymore. This was something else. Hit her again. She fell again. She got up again. 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 Each time she rose, her stance was the same, perfect, unbroken. No matter how hard he hit her, she kept coming back to that same position, feet rooted to the ground, body connected to the floor. Stopped attacking. For the first time in his perfect engineered life, he felt something strange. Was it confusion? Was it fear? He did not know. He had never felt it before. "Why?" he asked. "Why do you keep getting up?" Looked at him through swollen eyes. "Because the mountain does not move." She breathed in, she breathed out. And then noticed something, the floor beneath her feet. It was not just cracked anymore. It was shattering. Lines spread out from where she stood like a web. The reinforced material of the arena floor was breaking apart under the pressure of her stance. She was not just standing on the ground. She was pushing into it with every breath, storing force, building power. Every hit he had landed, every blow she had taken, she had not just absorbed them. She had saved them. "Impossible," whispered. Stepped forward just one step. It was a simple movement, nothing special, just one foot in front of the other. But when her foot landed, the entire arena shook. She raised her open palm and pressed it against his chest. There was no wind up, no great movement, just a gentle push like a mother waking a child. The sound that followed was like thunder. The force that had been building in her body released all at once. It flowed through her arm and into his chest. His reinforced bones bent. His enhanced muscles failed. His perfect engineered body flew backward like a leaf in a storm. He crashed through the arena barrier, through the wall behind it, through the next wall after that. He did not stop until he hit something that could finally hold him. The arena was silent. Stood in a crater, the floor around her had collapsed completely. Cracks spread across the entire arena surface like a broken mirror. She was breathing hard now. Blood covered her face. Her body was broken in a dozen places. But she was still standing. The announcer finally spoke. His voice was shaking. The Earthborn wins." The silence held for one more moment. And then the arena exploded with sound. Beings who had come to laugh at the human were now screaming her name. Those who had mocked her were now cheering for her. The galaxy had just seen something impossible, something that changed everything. A small human woman had defeated the greatest warrior in the known universe. The medical station on Vela 9 was the most advanced in the galaxy. Doctors from a dozen species worked together using technology that could heal almost any wound. They worked on for 3 days. Broken bones, torn muscles, internal bleeding, damage that would have killed most beings. But humans were stubborn. That was what the doctors learned. They healed faster than expected. They fought harder than they should. Even unconscious body refused to give up. It kept working, kept repairing, kept surviving. On the 4th day, she opened her eyes. Was there. He had not left her side since the match ended. He looked tired and worried, but when he saw her eyes open, his face changed. "You are awake," he said. His voice was soft. "How do you feel?" "Everything hurts," answered. Her voice was rough from days of not speaking. "That is because you did something impossible," shook his head. "I have watched the video 100 times. I still do not understand how you survived." "I am human," tried to smile, but it hurt too much. "We are good at surviving." The door opened and more visitors entered. The diplomat, the scientist, representatives from the Galactic Council, news reporters from across the galaxy. They all wanted to see her, to talk to her, to understand her. "You have won," said. The old looked at her with new eyes. "The final match was supposed to happen in 3 days, but we have decided it is not necessary, has withdrawn from the competition. He says he has nothing more to prove against you." "So she is the champion?" asked. Nodded slowly. "Yes, the first human to ever win the galactic combat trials, the first human to ever defeat a champion." He paused. "The first human to ever earn the respect of the galaxy." He held out a small object. It was a medallion made of some metal that seemed to glow from within. Strange symbols covered its surface. "The champion's crest," said. "It has been given to the winner of the trials for over 1,000 years. It is now yours." Took it with her good hand. It was heavier than it looked. She could feel something coming from it. History, power, meaning. "Thank you," she said. "No," replied. "Thank you, you have taught us something important. We thought we understood the universe. We thought we knew what strength meant, but we were wrong." He looked at the other council members, who had gathered in the room. "We would like to propose a cultural exchange. We want to learn more about your species, your history, your martial arts, your ways of training." He hesitated. "If you will teach us." Thought about it, she thought about her grandmother, about her village, about Earth and all the humans who lived there. "I am just one person," she said. "I cannot speak for my whole species." "We understand, but perhaps you can help us begin." Was quiet for a long moment, then she nodded. "I will try." The weeks that followed were strange and wonderful. Worked with the council to establish the first human martial arts academy on Vela 9. Masters from Earth traveled to the station to teach, and beings from dozens of species came to learn. They learned judo. They learned Aikido and Hapkido and dozens of other arts that humans had developed over thousands of years. They learned how to use gravity as a weapon, how to root themselves to the ground, how to become mountains that could not be moved. Most of them failed. Their bodies were not built like human bodies. Their gravity was different. Their history was different. But some of them learned a little, and that little was enough to change them forever. Did not stay on the station. When her body was healed enough to travel, she said goodbye to and all the others who had become her friends. "Where will you go?" asked. "Home," she said. "I have been away too long." The ship that took her back to Earth was full of reporters and diplomats and curious beings who wanted to see the legendary planet that had produced such a warrior. They expected something grand, something impressive, something that matched the power of the woman who had shaken the galaxy. What they saw was a small village in the mountains, green hills, flowing streams, simple houses made of wood and stone. Walked up the path to a small garden where an old woman was working in the dirt. Her back was bent, her hair was white, her hands were covered in soil. He called. The old woman looked up, her face wrinkled into a smile. "Ah, you are back," she said. "Did you win?" "Yes." "Good." The old woman stood up slowly and wiped her hands on her clothes. "I saw some of it on the news. You did well. Your stance was good." "Thank you. But your left side drops a little when you get tired. We should work on that." Laughed. It hurt her still healing ribs, but she did not care. "Yes." The old woman looked past at all the strange beings who had followed her. They stood at the edge of the garden, afraid to come closer, afraid to disturb this simple moment. "Are those your friends?" the old woman asked. "Some of them." "Then invite them in. I will make tea." She handed a hoe. "But first help me with the radishes. They will not pull themselves." Took the hoe and knelt down in the dirt beside her grandmother, the most famous warrior in the galaxy, pulling vegetables from the earth like any other farmer. The aliens watched in confusion. This was not what they expected. This was not grand or impressive or powerful. But somehow it was perfect. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. The phrase, "stand like the Earthborn," became common in training halls across 1,000 worlds. It meant to be unshakable, to be patient, to root yourself so deeply that the universe itself must bend around you. Humans were no longer laughed at. They were no longer ignored. They had earned their place among the stars not through technology or weapons or size. They had earned it through will, through endurance, through the simple stubborn refusal to fall down and stay down. And on a small planet called Earth, in a small village in the mountains, an old woman and her granddaughter worked in a garden together. They did not talk about fame or glory or the future of the galaxy. They talked about radishes, because that was what mattered. That was what had always mattered. Not the strength to break worlds, but the strength to kneel in the dirt and grow something beautiful. That was the true power of the Earthborn. And the galaxy was only beginning to understand it. And she had done it by becoming the mountain. They all would. They had brought a monster to their games. And they had laughed at her were wrong about humans. Maybe they had all made a terrible mistake. He did not know it yet, but he was right. The trials were about to change forever.